A gentle breeze carried the aroma of sandalwood as the Buddha sat beneath the sprawling Bodhi tree. The disciples gathered silently, their faces illuminated by the golden light of dawn. Among them was a merchant, his attire gleaming with wealth and his eyes restless with ambition. "Great teacher," the merchant began, his voice confident yet insistent, "I seek wisdom to multiply my wealth and secure success." I looked at the flame, puzzled by his words, yearning to understand the deeper truth within his soft, calm voice. "Inside each of you," Buddha continued, "exists a flame as powerful as the sun and as gentle as the moon's light." "I seek satisfaction," he replied, as though uncertain whether his words carried truth. The Buddha lifted a single fallen leaf from the ground and held it in the morning light. "Desire is like this leaf," he said, "shaped by its tree, moved by the winds, and destined to fall." The disciples leaned in, their breaths bated as though the Buddha's words were sustenance itself. Does the leaf chase the wind, or does the wind carry it where it does not choose to go? The merchant frowned, his brows furrowed with the effort of thought, and remained silent. The Buddha continued, "As the wind rules the leaf, so does desire rule the restless mind of the seeker." The air seemed to grow still as the truth of the words settled in the hearts of the listeners. "But can the leaf not choose where it falls?" a young disciple asked, his voice filled with yearning. The Buddha smiled, his expression radiating infinite patience. "The leaf does not cling. Its destiny unfolds in letting go." Buddha closed his eyes briefly, as if connecting with the unseen forces, before opening them with a gaze that embraced us. "The flame within is invisible but powerful, capable of transforming the darkest paths into beacons of clarity and truth. Freedom is not from the wind but in knowing you are neither leaf nor wind, but the observer." The merchant bowed his head, the weight of his riches suddenly burdensome, their value questioned against the words spoken. "Master," he said, "how does one become the observer, unbound by the whims of desire?" The Buddha gestured toward the horizon, where the first rays of sunlight touched the peaks of distant mountains. "Meditate upon the sunrise," he said, "and know that it shines not for gold, not for power, but simply to be." The merchant rose, his heart heavy yet strangely lightened, his steps faltering yet purposeful as he returned to the world. The disciples remained, their eyes fixed upon the Buddha, their minds reaching for the quiet truth he had shared. "When desire speaks, it speaks loudly," the Buddha said, his words soft yet unshakable. "But truth resides in stillness." The day unfolded, the noise of the world intruding upon the serene sanctuary. Yet the Buddha's voice remained within them. "He who masters silence," the Buddha said, rising at last, "masters the self, and through the self, masters all things." The disciples bowed as he walked among them, his presence a river of peace flowing through their noisy thoughts. Buddha pointed to my hands, my heart, my thoughts. "Through your deeds, your kindness, and your clarity, the light shows its presence." For the first time, he allowed the noise of desire to fade, surrendering to the quiet truth he sought to grasp. The world continued its clamor, its ceaseless noise resounding, but within the merchant, a seed of silence began to grow. Another day, another dawn, and the Buddha sat beneath the ancient Bodhi tree, his presence as calm as eternity. The disciples gathered once more, their hearts seeking refuge from the turbulence of their inner worlds. Among them came a ruler, dressed in finery but heavy with the invisible weight of discord. "Wise teacher," the ruler began, his voice trembling with suppressed frustration, "I cannot quiet the quarrels that burn like wildfire within my court." I closed my eyes, letting the echoes of his words settle into the corners of my heart. The silence speaking louder still, the lantern's flame continued to flicker, almost whispering the truths that Buddha shared, revealing the light as eternal yet patient. I seek peace, he said at last, his voice barely audible over the whisper of the morning breeze. The Buddha gestured toward a nearby stream, its waters flowing gently over smooth stones, untroubled by the chaos beyond. Look to the stream, the Buddha said, his tone resonating with unwavering clarity. What do you see when the water flows unbroken? The ruler stepped closer, his eyes following the quiet dance of the stream as it meandered through the earth. I see clarity, the ruler replied, though his voice carried the doubt of one who spoke without full understanding. The Buddha nodded, his expression radiating infinite patience. Now disturb the water with your hand, and tell me what you see then. The ruler knelt and plunged his hand into the stream, sending ripples and waves across its tranquil surface. I see chaos, the ruler said, his voice tinged with realization, though the weight of his burdens remained. The Buddha smiled faintly, his presence as steady as the earth beneath their feet. When disturbed, water cannot reflect the truth of the world, he said. The ruler withdrew his hand, watching as the water gradually settled, its surface returning to its former stillness. So it is with the mind, the Buddha continued, his words carrying the weight of timeless wisdom. Only stillness reveals truth. The disciples leaned in, their ears attuned to the melody of understanding, though discord still lingered in their hearts. But how does one still the mind when the world itself burns with ceaseless fire? The ruler asked, his voice tinged with despair. The Buddha closed his eyes for a moment, as though drawing from the infinite well of universal wisdom. Compassion is the cooling rain upon the fire, he said, and understanding the soil upon which peace may grow. Shadows, Buddha said, are but an absence of light. They hold no power except the illusions we grant them with fear. The Buddha opened his eyes, their gaze as clear and deep as the stream now flowing undisturbed once more. True compassion flows not to change others but to transform oneself, he said, his voice unwavering. The disciples exchanged glances, their minds struggling against the noise of their own inner conflicts. When you see through discord to the unity beneath, the flames subside, and silence takes root, the Buddha continued. The ruler knelt before the Buddha, his robes brushing the earth as he bowed his head in reverence. Teach me to see unity where only discord reigns, the ruler said, his voice trembling with hope. The Buddha reached for a nearby lotus flower, its petals open and unblemished by the mud from which it grew. The lotus blooms not in rejection of the mud but in harmony with it, he said, offering the flower to the ruler. Let fear serve as a mirror, Buddha advised, reflecting your own strength, your own courage waiting patiently to be awakened. But Master, Sudatta asked, can courage emerge without defeating the shadow? Must we conquer fear to move forward into light? Conquering, Buddha said, is not destroying, it is transforming, realizing fear as illusion and courage as reality already within your grasp. Silence is not escape but the space in which truth may breathe, he said, his words settling like seeds in fertile soil. The ruler rose, the lotus still cradled in his hands, and turned toward the horizon with steps lighter than before. The disciples remained, their hearts heavy with questions but lighter with the flicker of understanding that had begun to take hold. When discord speaks, it demands attention, the Buddha said, his voice as steady as the stream. But silence reveals what discord cannot. Master, Sudatta asked, can shadows ever guide us toward light? Or are they always barriers we must navigate to find clarity? Shadows, Buddha said, though empty, often guide us by revealing the paths where light must be sought, where wisdom awaits patiently. Every shadow, Buddha continued, hides a truth, challenging you to discover light's unseen presence beyond illusion's fleeting, ever-changing forms. The disciples bowed as he passed among them, his presence a beacon of quiet in the noisy tempest of their thoughts. The ruler, now far from the monastery, paused by a grove of trees, the lotus flower resting in his open hands. He gazed at the flower, its purity untainted by the soil from which it had sprung, and understood. The noise of discord echoed faintly in the distance. But within the ruler, a spark of stillness began to grow. Another day, another journey, and the Buddha walked to the edge of a vast meadow where silence embraced the air. The disciples followed closely, their minds yearning for clarity as questions echoed in their hearts. Among them was a wanderer, clad in simple robes and carrying nothing but the burden of a single question. "Great teacher," the wanderer began, his voice steady and sincere, "what is the path to silence and unshaken peace?" The Buddha paused, turning to face the wanderer, his eyes deep with compassion and the weight of infinite understanding. "Silence is not found in running from the noise," the Buddha said, his voice calm and deliberate. "Then how does one attain silence when the world roars with endless sound?" The wanderer asked, his brow furrowed. The Buddha gestured toward the grass beneath their feet, its blades swaying gently in the breeze. "In each blade of grass lies the whisper of truth," he said, his words weaving quiet into the fabric of the moment. "They cannot extinguish your inner flame, your strength, your truth waiting in eternal patience." I felt Buddha's words anchor me, connecting me to the strength within, helping me face illusions with a steady heart. The Buddha knelt and picked up a single grain of sand, holding it between his fingers like a jewel. "See this grain of sand," he said. "It is vast, yet unnoticed within the clamor of thought." Sudatta smiled softly, his fears dissolving like mist under morning sunlight, his courage aligning with Buddha's wisdom carried in steady silence. The disciples continued walking, their thoughts connecting with Buddha's teachings, finding strength invisible yet undeniable, felt deep within their hearts. The Buddha placed the grain back upon the earth, and it vanished among countless others, unseen but unforgotten. "Master," a disciple interjected, "how can we still the noise within when the world demands our endless attention?" The Buddha smiled gently, his face illuminated by the golden hues of the setting sun. "Attention is the doorway to silence," he said, "but it must be given to the present, not scattered across illusions of time." The disciples exchanged glances, their hearts stirring with both doubt and hope, caught between understanding and resistance. "What of the noise created by others?" the wanderer asked, his tone tinged with frustration and longing. The Buddha turned his gaze to the horizon, where the sky met the earth in a seamless union of opposites. "The noise of others cannot enter where silence already resides," he said, his voice carrying the weight of timeless truth. "But how does one cultivate this silence when surrounded by chaos?" The wanderer persisted, his voice rising like the tide. The Buddha raised his hand, motioning to the distant mountains that stood steadfast against the winds. "The mountain does not resist the wind, nor does it chase it," he said. "It simply remains." The disciples fell silent, the metaphor sinking into their consciousness like rain seeping into parched soil. "Master," another disciple spoke, their voice trembling with vulnerability, "does silence mean the absence of action?" The Buddha turned toward the speaker, his eyes warm yet unwavering. "Silence is not the void of action but the fullness of being," he said. The wanderer knelt before the Buddha, his face reflecting a mixture of surrender and newfound understanding. Kima's brow furrowed slightly, and she asked, "Master, how can silence speak if it carries no sound, no words to guide us?" Buddha gestured toward the horizon, where the sun rose silently, its brilliance illuminating the earth without declaration, its presence undeniable. "Like the sun," Buddha explained, "silence carries light, guiding through presence, not through sound, awakening truths deep within the heart. To realize silence is to see that you are the sky, and the noise is but passing clouds," he said. The disciples bowed their heads, the depth of the teachings echoing within their hearts as the sun sank below the horizon. The wanderer rose. His steps lightened, as though the burdens he carried had dissolved into the quiet truth. The Buddha stood, his presence timeless and unshaken. As the meadow became a sanctuary of stillness, the noise of the world pressed on. But within the disciples and the wanderer, silence had begun its eternal bloom. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.